Joining me on the program to speak unedited for the first time is State Representative Mark Lawson. Just got back from a trip from Washington, D.C., where you were in the White House yourself.
Yes, it was just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I really want to give the credit and the thanks to Speaker Kyle Hilbert, who, since becoming Speaker, he really has wanted to lean into our relationships with our federal delegation and the White House. And the Intergovernmental Affairs Office from the White House reached out and invited a contingent of the Oklahoma House and Senate to go. And many of us, I think we had over 70, not quite 80 members of the House and Senate that got a chance to go and meet with secretaries in the Trump cabinet and talking about what they're working on, how the state of Oklahoma and the White House can better function. We got to meet with our Senator Mark Mullen, and then a handful of us had the opportunity to visit briefly with Vice President J.D. Vance. Wow. It was a really cool trip.
Well, I was going to say, I paid attention in civics class, and it was always the representatives talk to the congressional delegation, and then they present that to the White House. This seems like a very rare direct connection to our local folks.
Yeah, again, I think that certainly the Trump White House has really bolstered their intergovernmental affairs department, and they said, a lot of their good ideas they want to see coming from the states, and that gives Congress and the White House kind of impetus to move on certain things, and we had some really good dialogue with things that are going on there in Washington, things that we're really looking into and caring about. But, I've served for 9 years now, and we've gone from, I believe President Obama was still in office in the first days of my first year, to 4 years of Trump, to 4 years of Biden, and now back to a Trump White House. And this is the first invitation that we have received like this. So I'm just glad that many members were able to make it. And we're really still debriefing on everything that we've learned there and what we can use from our trip to set our agenda going into next session.
And I imagine there are things that are not political but need to get done. I mean, we see the Tulsa levees here all the time and in the multi-layers. Is that what some of this conversation was about? Was not necessarily the hot topics, but we got things that have to get done.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thrilled to hear from Secretary Turner of Housing and Urban Development. And he's a former NFL player, and he is one heck of an inspirational speaker. And one of the things that he talked most about was kind of cutting some of that red tape to unlock flexibility within the states. Housing is an important issue here in the state of Oklahoma and really nationwide. And this is for low-income families, but working families trying to enter into that housing market. Rents are incredibly high, interest rates are high. We want a robust workforce in the state of Oklahoma, and people need a safe and secure place to live. So exploring ways to partner with the White House and HUD to find out how can we help our communities flourish and get appropriate housing for folks in the Tulsa metro area, but across the state.
While you're here, we did a lot of coverage this spring of the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. You chaired that committee. How do you feel things are going right now? I know your work is not done.
Yes, so if I may, we'll go a little bit back in time. It was around the end of February, the beginning of March, that we first heard of a potential budget shortfall from the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. At one point in time, it was high as $63 million. We impaneled a select committee in the House. Later on during session, our friends from the Senate joined us in that call to try to get to the bottom of this budget deficit. How did we get here, and how do we move forward? Mental health is still an issue that is very, very important to all Oklahomans. We entered into a consent decree during this time. So what that means is we have folks sitting in county jails across the state who are accused of crimes, but because of mental health issues, they're not deemed competent to understand the charges that are against them and to seek justice for the community and for victims. And we have not done a good job of that. So we've got certain rules that we have to follow to make sure that we're getting justice and proper care for people. Going out of session at the end of May, we had to deliver a supplemental appropriation to the department to get them through the last fiscal year. So that was the month of June of this year. And we really ran out of time to really get to the heart of what a good budget looks like for that department to operate over 12 months. Very high level speaking, we appropriated the same amount of money to the department that we did last year, knowing full well that we had no confidence that that was an appropriate number for them to continue to deliver service. I said it several times, the testimony, it's on record that I gave in the Select Committee hearings, that it remains the House's position that it's our expectation that the department be able to deliver a robust network of providers that is there across the state to meet people where they are and give them the care that they need. What we all know is as people enter into a mental health crisis, oftentimes that leads to an interaction with law enforcement. And you talk to any law enforcement agency anywhere, our jails are overcrowded with mental health patients who probably need to be served outside of a jail setting. So that's why we need a very robust and healthy network of providers across the state. They're still sorting through with the department kind of how they got into such disarray with their budget. We knew full well that this interim was going to be rocky, that they're going to continue to be doing the work. And that expectation holds true, that there's a certain level of care and availability of care that we expect from the legislature. And as the department continues to wade through that, if they feel like they need some extra money to go and deliver on that expectation of the legislature, we hope that they're prepared to come before us and tell us what those needs are, and that therefore we could respond appropriately.
But we are getting some whiplash here. I mean, Operation Safe happened. Governor Stitt said we're going to invest more money in mental health than ever before. Now we're hearing COPES cuts. Even when you were having your hearings, it's this contract is happening. No, it's not. Yep, it's back on. I mean, this is some whiplash. Like, how do we at home figure out what is and isn't happening here?
Yeah, and I share some of that whiplash with you. We're here today, and it's Thursday afternoon, so the timing may be a little bit different when this airs, but this has all happened yesterday. So even members of the legislature, I'm the chair of the Select Committee, I'm still going through, kind of sorting through the news that's coming out of additional cuts. That is something that I want the people to know, because mental health is such an important issue to the people, is that the legislature is still very much engaged on this issue, that mental health is still a top priority for the House of Representatives, to make sure that we're supporting that network of providers across the state, because this issue is so important, because we know that not treating people appropriately whenever we identify these issues only leads to worse outcomes. It only leads to more homelessness. It leads to more interaction with law enforcement. It puts an unnecessary burden on our law enforcement, our county jails, our court systems. So what I want people to take away is that, yes, things may be a little unstable and rocky in this interim, but the legislature still is very much involved in this, very much engaged on the issue, and it remains a top priority for us. So we will do what we need to do to make sure that there is stability in the system, that people who need mental health services are going to get quality mental health services, ideally as close to home as possible. But we know that this is a statewide issue, and we want people to know that there is some certainty that mental health services will be available to them.
I know the budget technically doesn't come out until next July, and you all don't stop working, even though you're not down at 23rd and Lincoln.
That's right.
But do you get in there in February and pass like a Band-Aid or something? Because there are some people who are saying, my program doesn't exist anymore. Or is there a Band-Aid like that you pass quickly, or do we wait until July and hope the program we need is still funded by the time that money comes on board?
Well, ideally, we're not sitting in that stasis and waiting come July. This is part, Admiral Slavonic was appointed after the legislature removed Commissioner Friesen from her position. So we are extending a tremendous amount of grace as he's walked into really this chaos at the department to try and unravel. Again, we have to continue to have conversations with the department. The expectation, certainly from the House, and this remains our position now, is that we had no confidence in the budget that we gave them. But we're required to do one and only one thing in the legislature, and that is pass a balanced budget for the people of the state of Oklahoma. And so as they continue to wrap their arms around their internal budget controls and managing the money that's coming in and how it's going out and the accounting practices there, I would hope that they would come to us rather than we get the same news that everyone else got yesterday of COPES cuts and crisis cuts, that they would consult with us. Again, the expectation from the legislature exiting session was that they would continue to consult with us, and if they needed, if they found some errors or they found some gaps, they would come to us and say, legislature, in order to maintain these services, it's going to cost this much money, and ask for a supplemental appropriation. Whether that's in February, whether that's later this fall, that's part of what the Select Committee is there to do. And I think it's important that we as legislators have the opportunity to put our heads together, to get on the same page as we move forward, continue to communicate with the department. But yes, a number of things. There are a number of ways that we could convene to address any budget shortfalls or any potential cuts to service. But you're right, we don't go back into session officially until the first Monday in February.
Representative, I'm out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll be watching.